what can we expect from the economic statement today? What are you learning?
Marcia, you mentioned there housing is the focus. Housing is really all we're hearing about going into this afternoon's announcement. We know there's going to be $15 billion worth of new loans, low interest 10-year loans going out to the construction sector, specifically focused on building rental units. They say it'll bring about 30,000 new rental units over a certain time frame. We also know there's $1 billion being spent on an affordable housing fund. This is money that the government won't be giving back. Potential talks of turning government offices into housing, that is back on the table. As you mentioned, there are changes towards short-term rentals. The housing minister yesterday coming out and saying the federal government believes there are tens of thousands of short-term rentals that could be housing Canadians. Now they're going to be taking off any income tax exemptions that did exist in jurisdictions where there are already rules against short-term rental properties. What that means is that in cities like BC or Calgary or Montreal, for example, now if you own one of those short-term rentals, you will be paying tax. So if you have a rental that makes $120,000 a year, but also costs $120,000 a year to run, where in the past that was net neutral, now you're going to be paying $33,000 worth of federal taxes, and that will come into effect as of January 2024. The other thing we're seeing, and it's specifically aimed at the future challenges that this government is expecting, will be changes to the mortgage guidelines. And this is very important because over the next 3 years, 60% of all mortgages in Canada are coming up, roughly $900 billion. The government is keenly aware of where interest rates are at, the challenges that's going to put on Canadians' pocketbooks. And so they say expect changes there. They haven't said what those changes will be. And the only other thing we're watching for off the housing side is some green tech investments. We know that's coming. We don't know what specifically that's going to look like.
Okay, so big focus clearly on housing. What's the opposition looking for, Colton?
The NDP is also looking for housing money, as are the Conservatives. They're just all looking at it from a different point of view. The chunk of the Liberal spending, $15 billion, going towards building those rental units. The NDP particularly focused on what they call actual affordable housing. Jagmeet Singh is supposed to speak at 10 o'clock today. We're expecting him to focus on that as well ahead of this announcement. The Conservatives have been highly critical of the Housing Accelerator Fund and the announcements that we've seen this summer from the Housing Minister and the Prime Minister moving from city to city to city, spending this money. Well, we're 2 years into that fund and we haven't seen any actual housing starts. They've been hammering that point in their press conferences recently, and they're expecting hammering that again and focusing on that, saying we need to see more housing starts. It's not enough just to include funding. We actually need that supply to increase.
Okay, we're going to watch and see what happens later today. Colton, thanks for all of that.